So I've dealt with a lot in the past, guys. I've been through a lot of garbage, and it's time to tell you about something insane that has happened to me, and it's about my old boss at GameStop. My old boss was a very interesting man. He was the worst boss I've ever had easily in the world, and I'm going to get into why. But I'm also going to get into what happened when he found my YouTube channel, because it is absolutely insane. And I haven't talked about it because there was a lot of legality stuff around it. There was a lot of insane stuff. And to be honest, I didn't want to exacerbate the problem and make it worse and end up dead. And what I mean by end up dead is, I mean, you'll find out here when we get to that part. But probably would have been great to be dead. Nah, please let me eat a bowl of 9mm. But I had a boss, all right? When I worked at GameStop for a long time. And I used to go into GameStop and play Guitar Hero, because Guitar Hero had just came out. And I was playing it, and the associates and me kind of, we struck up a friendship, all right? That's kind of how I feel like most people get hired. You got to know somebody, right? So I go in there and I play Guitar Hero every single day. And the store manager of this store was a man that I refer to as Egg, all right? This man, now look, I do not judge people for their appearance, but I have to put this out there because it is very relevant. This dude was a straight-up ham planet. He was a level 75 butter golem, all right? And what I mean by that is his weight eclipsed 500 pounds by a large margin. The fact that he could move around was staggering to me, and it still is to this day. But that's neither here nor there. At one point, I'm like, hey, man, you should give me a job, joking with him, because I need to pay my payments for my car, because, that's what we need to do. And I'm just joking around with him, and he kind of makes an offhanded, remark. He's like, you know what? Yeah, I'll hire you. And thus begins the GameStop story. So he says he's going to hire me, and one of the third keys have to pressure him to continue the process, because this dude's pretty lazy, but I'm going to get into that. Well, finally, my GameStop dreams have become true, and I always wanted to work there, which is usually the case for anybody that goes into GameStop. They're like, oh man, I'd love to work here. I love video games. Turns out that's not how that actually works, unfortunately. The video game part of it's not actually a thing. It's way different than you expect, but it's whatever. I started my job here, and I started to learn things about this new man in my life very, very quickly. Egg. The things that I learned would shake the foundation of anybody that's on Earth today. All right? And we're going to get right into it. So I started working, and this guy trained me. He actually trained me, and he trained me to steal from people, and I had no idea I was even doing it. So small things, and I'll give you a few examples here. But he would tell me to mark up games that were already on sale and tell people that when they got the discount card for GameStop store, that it knocked it down $15, and they ended up paying $0 because it evened out. That wasn't actually true. They were not saving anything. They were actually spending an extra $15 because the game, for example, was already $29.99, not $49.99. So he would just make me, and that's what I thought I was supposed to do. Keep in mind, I was brand new. And he would tell me to add the 1-year warranties onto people's transaction. Just add them on. And if they say anything, just return them. That was how it all worked. And this was apparently trickled down from the district manager, which I found out later for the 1-year warranties, but not the cards. You're supposed to sell them legitimately. And it was no wonder to me why his store was always ranking number 1 back in those times. So he would tell me to do things like that. He'd tell me to trade in games for people that left their games. For example, I had a kid one time leave a bunch of his GameCube games on the counter, and he didn't come back. And Egg told me to just trade them in. He just told me to trade them in so our trade goal would be met. Okay? That's not the worst of it, because I've seen him do that hundreds of times before, and he would just pocket the cash. I saw him take cash out of the safe before and pocket it. And now, look, I know what you're thinking. You're like, hey, why did you not tell anybody about this? Look, I was like 17 years old. I thought things were ran that way, I was young, Now, obviously, I can recognize some things were probably not right, but also I'm scared to lose my job that I just got, my dream job, and, there's a bit of loyalty there at first as well, because, hey, you gave me this job, I'm trying to do what I need to do, right? Well, that changes a lot later. But at any rate, these are small things that would kind of pile up. And I noticed that starting right when I got moved up to a third key manager, which means I could open and close the store, I would come in at 1 p.m. usually every day. And Egg would leave the store at 1 p.m. and not come back until 5, and then he would clock out. So he wouldn't be at the store for 4 hours, and he would just get paid for that time because he would clock out. And it was just accepted as normality. I found out later from another customer that he used to go to his house. So Egg would actually go to this customer's house, and he would just, what is the word? He would engage in escorts in our tiny city in Alabama, and then come back at 5 p.m. I want to reiterate something. Egg, this man was married and had several children and would just go hook up with escorts during work time and get paid for it. And then he would come out and clock out. Now, of course, my district manager already knew this was happening, but Egg's store ranked very well. And that's all GameStop cared about back then, and that's actually all they care about now, to be honest. So when the district manager found out about it, he asked Egg to not do that anymore. Hey, can you please not do that anymore? Can you please not steal time and smash escorts? Well, lo and behold, he stopped doing it, and I was actually kind of surprised. So he would actually stay at the store. Well, guess what he did to replace this activity? Yes, he actually would bring escorts to the store and go in the bathroom with them. Damn believable. Now, I got to put this out there. This didn't happen very often, but it happened right away, and he actually walked them through the front of the store to the back room. Eventually, he started letting them in the back door. Now, the district manager didn't check the cameras. No one cared about checking the cameras. That was a big deal. They just didn't care, and we had VCRs, so we had like tapes, so they, you could just not put one in and record it, and you would get away with anything. Well, the escorts were not the good kind of escorts, no. They were the ones that looked like you would pay them with like maybe a half-eaten cheeseburger. That's how you would pay them. Now, granted, look, I'm not going to judge your work if you're into that kind of thing. But damn, son, I mean, he was probably paying them with cheeseburgers. I'm just going to put that out there. It's pretty rough. But that's neither here nor there. Eventually, the scams started to get really bad. So his friend Dave, he would actually sell fixtures to. So what a fixture is it's something that would sit in the store that would be on display. And Egg would actually sell those things to the Dave guy or other people for hundreds of dollars instead of throwing them away like he was supposed to. You can determine right there if that's shady or not, but he wouldn't give it to the store, nor would he give it to any of the employees. He would keep it for himself. Other things that would happen is the consoles on the floor, like the PlayStation 2s, PlayStation 3s and stuff, that are in the giant interactive units, like an arcade cabinet like that, but the consoles, they would want us to throw them away. Egg would just trade them in for cash and pocket the cash, which is not, unexpected for him, to be honest. But what finally got him almost caught was he would do this scam where he would trade in Xbox 360s or PlayStation 3s. So somebody would bring a Xbox or a PlayStation 3 up, and they'd be like, hey, I want to trade this in for cash. And Egg would tell them without even looking that they only got $30 cash, when in actuality, they got around 90 or 100. And he would, prey on these people's bad situations, and they would say yes to it a lot of the times. So he would give them $30 cash out of the register, and then he would sell the Xbox or PlayStation 3 that same day to another customer for about $20 under what we sold them for. Basically, he was selling inside the store, but not under GameStop. It was Egg just doing it. And he would just pocket the cash. He would pay the register back, and he would pocket the $100 he'd make. And he would do that almost every day. Almost every day. He made thousands of dollars doing that. And I've had a lot of people criticize this and say, oh, they're not allowed to do that. That's illegal. You can't do that. Yeah, that's kind of the point. That's the whole point. You're not supposed to do that. Well, one time, the entire store decided that we were going to email corporate office and let them know that this scam was happening because we wanted Egg out of the store because he was a terrible store manager. This guy would schedule you on days that you asked off. If you had a funeral for your grandmother on a Thursday and you told him about it a week prior, he would say, yeah, sure, dude, I won't schedule you. And then that day would come and he would schedule you anyway. He would just put you right on the schedule right there on Thursday. And then you would be like, hey, man, I can't work because it's my grandmother's funeral. I told you. And then he'd be like, well, sorry, man, if you're not here, you're fired. He didn't care. He did stuff like that on purpose because he was like an evil ass man. All right. But I digress. Eventually, corporate got wind of this scam that he was running. And they told the regional director and the district manager, my other boss later on, that they needed to go to the store and interview him and look at the tapes. So they come here, they get all the tapes from our store. I was working the day this happened. They got all the tapes and took them with them. And we waited patiently for a week. And guess what? Nothing happened. And I remember Egg made the remark a few weeks later, because he thought that a customer made the complaint. It was actually all the people working in the store. It was like one of those tip hotlines. This dude turns to me and says, "Man, I can literally do anything I want and they won't fire me." And he laughed about it. And I agreed with him because it was true. This dude had escorts in the store. You know, the good old-fashioned hookers. He had those in the store. He was selling stuff. He was making cash. He was just illegal stuff left and right. And he did not get fired. He did not get fired for that. All right? Well, eventually, I got offered my own store because we always ranked well. So I became a store manager a few miles down the road at a different store. And Egg would still torment me to that day. He would still torment me. I would have midnight releases for tournaments and stuff. And Egg and his entire staff would show up at my midnight release to play in tournaments. You're supposed to have your store open. And he would just lock his door and tell the people in line that he'd be back, and he'd come to my store and eat my pizza for the customers, and he'd play in tournaments and stuff and try to win the prizes, which I always thought was a hoot. And no one ever cared. The district manager knew this was all happening. He didn't care. He absolutely did not care because Egg's store ranked well. That's all that mattered. That's all that mattered. So eventually, we would go to conference. And what conference is it's a giant festival basically in Las Vegas that we go to, and we would have vendors like Xbox, Microsoft, Nintendo show up and show us their new games and what they're working on. It was actually a lot of fun. It's something they actually recently just canceled forever for GameStop employees, so I feel for you guys. But we would go to Las Vegas, and I would just party, to be honest. It's pretty badass. I'd just party. And Egg would, as usual, get escorts the entire time. You know, the prostitutes. He got them every time. And I would leave the room because we would end up rooming together because I didn't know anybody else. And it was, hey, I know Egg. I'll room with Egg, right? So I'd leave the room while he would do this. But one time, something different happened. We had another manager in the district, and she was real drunk. And she came up to the room one night. And Egg was in there. And she came in, and I refer to her as Fupa because she was the same size as Egg. And look, I don't want to say anything negative about people that size, but Jesus Lord, I'm in the room, baby. I don't want to see this, all right? I don't need to see this earth-shattering thing in front of me that warped my young little mind, all right? It was like mixing a bowl of mac and cheese. I was hiding under the damn covers, and I would just see Egg just like elbow deep in the, oh God, I don't even want to think about it. And then at one point, he rips the covers off me and he throws Fupa on my bed, and then she's pooping on my bed for some reason. I don't really know why. And then she blacks out and there's blood for some reason, and then I have to carry her to the bathtub. It was the worst night of my life. Egg starts peeing in the corner for some reason because he's really drunk. And then he opens the door to the hotel, which was the Venetian, very nice hotel, and he runs down the damn hallway naked. And I have to wrangle his ass because I'm scared I'm going to get fired at this point. It was just awful. The dude was a maniac. He never stopped and he never changed. Well, eventually it comes to a time where a lady comes in my store and she's like, hey, do you have, this item in stock? I don't really remember what it was. I said, no, we do not have it in stock, but the store across the way does, the store Egg was at. And she was like, oh, okay. And she made the remark, I don't like going in there because I don't like the big guy that works there, which is what everybody said. Well, she immediately went over there, and I made a remark or two that, yeah, he's a little crazy. Yeah. I didn't shit on him by any means, but I did make this remark that I was like, oh, yeah, people don't really like him. Well, she goes in there and tells Egg I said this. Egg immediately calls me on my store phone and says he's coming to my store to beat the hell out of me, which he wouldn't be able to catch me, let's be honest. So he says he's on his way to my store to beat my ass. So I call my district manager. I'm like, hey, Egg has said he's going to come kill me. I just letting you know that I'm probably going to clock out and leave. And he was like, let me call him. And everybody's calling each other. And I had to apologize to the dude. And I didn't even do anything, to be honest. I didn't say anything negative. I was just like joking around. But that was kind of the beginning of the end there. Well, as you guys know, the end of my GameStop career started to roll out, and I decided to leave GameStop when they were pressuring to let me go over some nonsense. Sitting at my desk before the store opened apparently constituted a break, so they said I was stealing time. So I decided to leave GameStop. And I don't know if you knew this or not, but Egg still worked there. Egg worked at GameStop for almost 13 years. He still worked there after me. After everything he had done. The district manager, the regional director, they all knew about it. There was a running joke. Okay? I did an AMA on Reddit a few years ago, and there was a running joke about the big guy at that store in the actual comments of the AMA. People knew him all over the country because of how insane he was. And the stories, they went everywhere. You know what I'm saying? So he was still there after I left. Well, as you guys are aware, I started a YouTube channel, the one you're watching right now, and it unexpectedly blew up. And a lot of my first videos were talking about Egg. A lot of the stuff I'd mentioned today. And he found out about this immediately. And he called me. And he told me to delete my channel immediately because he doesn't want his family and his wife finding out that he was cheating on them for years. That was his main concern, but also because I said negative things. Obviously. Well, I told him, look, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to delete my channel. I'm not going to remove those videos. And he told me, okay, I see how it is. And he hangs up on me. Well, he calls me back a few hours later and said he was on his way house with his Glock and he was going to shoot me in the head. So at that point, I call the police and I'm like, hey, this guy's says he's going to come kill me. And a police car sat outside my house and I told my neighbor to keep a lookout because my neighbor is cool as hell. And she was like, yeah, I'll keep a lookout. And I waited all night for this guy to come kill me. He never showed up, of course, because it's Egg and I know how he works. But he calls me the next day and he's like, hey man, look, I'm sorry I called you. I'm sorry I said I was going to kill you, but we should hang out soon and get some hot wings. That's what he said. This was a day after he said he was going to kill me. What he was trying to do was he was trying to lure me out to kill me or to at least assault me or make me do something, I guess. And I, of course, said no to this. And then he called me off the hook and emailed me off the hook and I never responded. Well, at some point, about a month later, he said he was going to sue me over everything that I did. And at the time, I was really afraid of all this because I was a newbie at all this stuff. I was a newbie at YouTube. I didn't know what the hell I was doing. I still don't know what I'm doing, to be honest. So I was like, okay, look, I'm going to go ahead and privatize the videos about Egg, which I did do for a short period. And he thanked me and was like, thank you so much, dude. Man, I'm so excited. Thank you so much, man. Congratulations on your success, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Well, I thought it was over. Now, look, I know what you're saying. Hey, you caved. Yeah, I did. I sure did because I didn't want to die. Now, if you'd asked me to do that now, I would never do that. But this was at the very beginning, and I mean the very beginning. Well, I got wind from a fellow associate that actually worked with him, DM me on Instagram or something, and said Egg was planning on hiring a hit on me after I had taken the videos down. He planned on having one of his friends kill me, and he also said he was considering a lawsuit after everything. So you know what I did? I put the videos back up, okay? And every so often I'd hear about how he was going to file a lawsuit and this for years and years, and he never did. But I had a friend message me 2 days ago, and this is the reason I'm telling you all this. I had a friend message me 2 days ago, and he had talked to Egg very recently, and Egg made the remarks that he's still planning on taking me out, and he hates me and this and that. So it's something that I may have to deal with in the future, but based on experience and how I know him, I don't think I really will. But if I do and I don't upload videos anymore, then at least I don't have to pay my mortgage if he kills me. That's a very big positive out of all of this. At least there's that. No more mortgage. I would actually be pretty happy with not paying my mortgage because it's expensive sometimes. So that's the full story about Egg and wanting to kill me. I want you guys to comment down below if you've experienced something like this. What should I do and if some of this goes down? And make sure you like this video. Please, it helps out a lot. Make sure you subscribe if you haven't. That also helps out. And make sure you share the hell out of it. All right? That's very important. And get the hell on it, doggone it. If you love Egg, don't like the video. Bye. Yeah. Oh, egg. That's the full story about egg.